Hello and welcome to Prove Through You. This week we are going through part two of our budgeting series. But here on this channel, I am striving to encourage you to walk by faith and to grow in what you know in those practical steps so that God's faithfulness can be proved through you. Now, today we're going to be talking about budgeting terms, but first I just wanted to give you reference as far as scripture goes as to why I believe some of these terms and preparation are important. So in Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 through 8, it says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, overseer, or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in the summer and it gathers its food during harvest time." So for me in finances, that what that really means is we want to be as prepared as we can. We know the bill is coming. We know unexpected expenses do occur, whether that's a positive or a negative. It doesn't necessarily have to be a rainy day situation. Maybe it's an investment opportunity. Maybe it's a business opportunity or a real estate opportunity that we're saving for that we may not be aware is on the horizon. And so for me, when we look at the ants, it's just a reminder to be as diligent as we can as we prepare to build the life that we want. Now, some seasons of our life may require more work. Some of them may allow us to rest a little bit easier, but always remember, instead of comparing your journey to someone else's, focus on how you can become a better steward, how you can become wise about finance lingo so that you can continue to move forward and grow in your own budgeting and finance journey. So we're going to go over a few common budgeting terms that you may hear in the financial world. And the first one is fixed expenses. Those are expenses that have the same amount due every month. So it does not change. Whether that's your mortgage or your rent is going to be the exact same amount every single month. Those are called fixed expenses. Now, if the amount varies and the date stays the same, those are what we call variable expenses. They are due usually the same day per month, but the amount that you pay is going to change. So that may be something like your groceries or gas, maybe cell phone usage, depending on if you go over your gigs, if that's still a thing, if you're on a prepaid service, and things of that nature. That may cause the amount to vary from month to month. You may hear someone speak about a sinking fund, and all this is a short-term account where you have a big goal, but you're saving small amounts each and every time that you get paid. So it's a small savings amount that helps you reach a larger goal. You can do that by way of a cash envelope, or you can open up 2 or 3 savings accounts. Some banking institutions will allow you to open up multiple saving accounts without penalizing you or without you having to pay a fee. So if that's something that you're interested in, check out your bank's website, or you can just call one of the representatives and see if that's an option for you. And finally, you may hear someone speak about an expense tracker. And all this is you writing down the date, the expense, and how much it was. So some people say do it every day. Some people say do it every time you spend. I normally will wait until the end of the day, gather all my receipts, and then fill out my expense tracker that way because it's just easier for me to do it that way. So let's talk a little bit more about fixed expenses. Some examples are going to be, like I said earlier, your rent, your mortgage, if you have any subscriptions, Hulu, Disney, ESPN, Amazon Prime, Spotify, BetterHelp, all of those things. If you have insurance, that's normally the same amount every check, whether it comes out of your paycheck or if you're self-employed and you're paying your own insurance. The cell phone bill, it can be fixed or variable depending on if you have a prepaid or if you have a contracted rate. If your child has extracurricular activities such as gymnastics, basketball, YMCA, after school care, those amounts normally stay the same each and every month. So these are just examples of what would qualify as a fixed expense. Now, variable expenses, as we talked about earlier, it just changes. The amount changes from month to month. So for groceries, I may have a budget of $200 every 2 weeks, but that may change. Inflation, it may change if I decide to buy more meats and less vegetables. It may change if I decided to do organic or generic. And it also may change just depend on what you're actually purchasing. Is it the summertime and the kids are home, so you know you'll have to buy more food? Or is it during school and they'll normally get reduced lunch or free lunch or pack their own lunch? So all of that plays a part, especially as we are approaching summer. Vehicle maintenance, that may vary depending on what you need to have done. So your oil change may remain the same, but if you have to get a battery or you have to get a windshield replaced, all of those are variable expenses because it may or may not stay the same for when you need it. Utilities are going to vary because that's based on usage in most areas. So electricity, water, sewage, eating out is also a variable expense because you never know if you're going to get a Happy Meal for $5 or if you're going to sit down at a steak place and spend $65. So the eating out, even though you may eat out every month or every weekend, the amount that you're going to spend is going to vary depending on what place you're eating at. So these are the areas that you may be able to adjust first in your budget instead of your fixed expenses. So sometimes people will say, well, I don't have enough money to do X, Y, and Z. So the first thing I suggest is look at your variable expenses in places that you can afford to kind of change how much you spend in those areas. So you can determine how much you want to spend on groceries. You can determine how much you want to spend eating out. Utilities, we can somewhat control that based on the usage. Are we setting time limits in the home for how long the lights are going to be on or how much game time our children can have? All of those play a part. And the fixed expenses are a little bit more set in stone. They're harder to negotiate. So if you're looking for extra money to set aside maybe $20 a week or $50 a week, the first place I would encourage you to start are your variable expenses. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about are sinking funds. And again, those can either be multiple savings account, you can do a cash jar, you can do saving envelopes, you can do cash envelopes. And remember, a sinking fund is just you taking a big goal, you're breaking it into smaller parts, and you're setting aside that money every time you get paid. And so with the sinking funds, you first want to determine the amount you want to save. Are you trying to save $2,000, $500, $10,000? And what are you saving that for? So before you can start those sinking goals, it's important that you know why. Why are you saving? Because that's going to motivate you to save more. Am I saving because I want to surprise someone with concert tickets? Or am I saving because I want to redo my kitchen? Whatever the reason is, let it be there to motivate you. Then you want to calculate the amount that you're going to need. If the expense is maybe about 6 months or less away, then you should have an estimate of how much you're trying to save or what would you need. What's the minimum that you're going to need for this specific goal? Then you want to take that amount and divide it by how much time you have to reach that goal. So if you have 3 months and you get paid once a month, whatever that goal is, you're going to divide it by 3. And I also have a short on my channel that kind of breaks this part down a little bit if you're more of a visual person. And then you want to decide on how often are you going to take money and place it towards that goal. So number one, that you meet your goal and that you also meet it by your deadline. So nobody can tell you really how to navigate that. That's really up to you. It's a personal choice. And if you have variable accounts or variable paychecks, maybe one week you may be able to put $500 toward that goal, and the next week all you can do is 20, and that's okay because the overall goal is to plan it in advance so that by the time you need the money, you have it there without disrupting your budget fully. Okay, so here's just a quick example. If you're going to do a long-term goal, then maybe a savings account may be a little bit better where you can earn interest on your money. If you're bold enough and brave enough and you understand the market and you want to invest some things so that you can get a bigger return, maybe you can do that. Now, I'm not a financial advisor and my risk tolerance is not very high. So all of my steps are practical, short-term goals that work best for me in my situation. So let's take a look at an example. Let's say your dishwasher or your microwave has been broken and you have a goal of $400. You're giving yourself 6 months to save $400 so that you can replace the dishwasher and the microwave. Maybe you found it on marketplace. Maybe one of your big box stores are having a good deal going on. Maybe you want to put that on a credit card, but remember, the benefit of a credit card is that you can pay it off before the due date so that your credit score can go up so you don't have a lot of interest. So I'm going to let you decide if that's the route you want to take. But for this example, we're talking about if you want to save $400 in cash within 6 months. So if you get paid monthly, that means you get 6 months. You want to take that $400 divided by 6. That means you should be saving $66.67 every time you get paid. If you are looking at a bi-weekly, take the 400 divided by 12. You want to save about $33.33 per check. If you get paid on a weekly, you're going to do the 400 divided by the 24 times that you're going to get paid. And so you should be setting aside $16.67 every week so that you're able to reach that goal of $400 within that 6 months. So all you want to do is take the total amount that you want to save and divide it by the number of days or weeks that you get paid so that by the time that 6 months arrives, you have $400 and your other bills are still being paid. And you're probably not having to skip many meals. You may have to become more creative. You may have to stay at home a little bit more. You may have to make some things at home, a smoothie or a coffee, or instead of going out to eat, you may have to cook yourself a fancy pasta meal or something like that. So you may have to do a little bit of sacrificing in order for you to reach that goal with minimum impact to everything else that you have occurring. And then we also have the expense tracker, and that's basically where you just keep a running list of each expense, the date, the amount, and the why. And at the end of it, I'm telling you, you'll be surprised at how much you're spending and where you're spending it at. It's really a wake-up call. And we talked about that moment of clarity and moment of awareness in my other video that we posted up last week. So you can track your expenses daily, or you can do it weekly. It's really up to you. And what it really does is it helps promote the awareness of what you're spending, why are you spending, and how are you spending it, so that maybe it would help you pause a little bit before you go forward spending more money. Because it's those small things that add up. It may not be you're buying a $1,500 purse or you're trying to rent a $500 a week car. It may be buying 20 items at Dollar Tree or going to Dollar General, or you saw something on sale at the mall, or, Walmart or Target had a great deal going on. And so instead of checking your budget, we're just swiping. It may be a great flight deal or a cruise deal, whatever the case may be. When you're tracking your spending, it makes you more aware of, number one, how much do I have left and how much wiggle room do I have before I end up spending. And then with your expense tracker, you also want to total up how much you're spending at the end of the day or at the end of the week, and you want to set them aside in specific budget categories. So I hope that something that I said was helpful. Maybe I was able to shine a little bit of light on some situations for you. And again, here we're just trying to do just the basic financial terms to create the conversation and have an awareness. And budgeting is not restrictive. It really is freeing once you understand that the discipline is necessary to get you to the freedom that you're seeking. So if you're looking for ways to contact me, of course, I would love if you will follow me here on YouTube at Proof Through You, or feel free to share this information with someone who may need it. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, but it could be someone else's coffee or a glass of water, and I would love for you to share this with them. The other place you can find me, I am on Instagram at Prove Through You. If you ever have any questions and maybe you're a little shy about leaving comments in the comment section below, you can email me at provethroughyou@gmail.com. And so thank you again for tuning in. I hope this information was helpful, and I will see you again on our next video. Have a blessed day.